obsessed! And on today's review, we're going to talk about Dr. Sleep. Now, I was pretty skeptical. Right from the get-go, I had not seen anything by this amazing director, Mike Flanagan. I hadn't seen any of his stuff yet. I'm a massive fan of The Shining. I mean, The Shining... Yeah, I mean, The Shining is literally the first film where I was like, okay, who directed this? I've heard of directors, and who cares about it? It's like, no, who directed this? Stanley Kubrick. So, and now they're making a sequel to The Shining. Dr. Sleep. Okay, now I remember when the book came out, I was like, oh, it's kind of interesting. Danny lives at the end of The Shining, and this is now years later. He's, now he's a man, but we're still exploring his weird power of The Shining, reading people's minds, and so I was like, Dr. Sleep, and then they made the movie, and then I saw some trailers, and I was like, it doesn't look terrible. I was like, oh, wow, he's really, there was like glimpses of him moving through the Overlook Hotel, and you're like, oh, he's moving through that looks just like the Overlook. So I was like, kind of intrigued, and it got closer, and then the movie came out, and I was like, I'm just too curious. I walked in with like the perfect expectation. I did not expect it to be as good as The Shining. I mean, how can you possibly make something as good as The Shining? It's like impossible. I mean, oh my God. But I'm like, but I'm just too fucking curious. So I see this movie, knowing nothing about Mike Flanagan, just knowing the cast. Folks, I'm telling you, Dr. Sleep is a solid fucking movie. Mike Flanagan is an incredibly good writer-director. I watch this movie, I'm like, okay, bring it. Like, you're up against a shit ton of, no. So I start watching the movie, and it's, actually good. The movie's actually fucking good. I'm like, oh, they're doing, an actual progression of, well, what would happen when Danny is a man, and he still has his power. He's, and the character stuff is great. Rebecca Ferguson is a fantastic villain as Rose the Hat. This is what is so interesting about Dr. Sleep. It's adapted from the Stephen King novel. So, Stephen King is one of the best. But Dr. Sleep, I think it totally achieves everything by not trying to compete with The Shining. Now, yes, it's a sequel, but this is its own story. We have this amazing new villain with Rebecca Ferguson as Rose the Hat. I mean, oh my God. She steals this entire movie. You could do a whole movie about Rose the Hat, about that badass psychic vampire. I mean, oh my God. But then, other characters, this young black girl who's, 10 or 12, and, she's got The Shining, but she's, even more powerful than when Danny was a kid and had The Shining. This girl is no joke. She's, a fucking badass. And then the Danny character, played by Ewan McGregor, I mean, there are so many different things going on in Dr. Sleep that I kept watching, I have to keep watching, and then the ending happens, and, the ending was good. Honestly, I need to rewatch this movie again to see how I feel about the ending, but, I mean, I basically left the theater, I was like, oh, this feels like a sequel to The Shining. I mean, Mike Flanagan, this director, folks, he somehow achieved the impossible. He achieved that simple but brilliant Kubrick tone, his shots, the cutting, the music. I mean, I think Mike. So I'm now officially a Mike Flanagan fan. I've started to watch some of his other stuff. I'm like, oh, this dude is the shit. This dude knows exactly what he's doing. The cameras, his camera movement, his composition, and his attention to fucking character. You listen to the student interviews and oh no, he's like the real deal. And it is unfortunate, honestly, that Dr. Sleep didn't do better. I saw it, I was like, fuck. Okay, I normally don't think this, but I hope this movie does well. This was a solid sequel, but this is to say, you've got to check out Dr. Sleep. I've heard some, mixed opinions. People didn't like this or didn't like that, or no. Go in to Dr. Sleep with an open mind, and you will only enjoy it. He goes all the way with the characters. He goes all the way with the weird darkness, and they explore so much cool shit. of like the Shining power. I mean, they take it to another level. So that's my review for Dr. Sleep. If you like the video, please hit like and subscribe. And I am obsessed